Welcome to Creations of Our World, the podcast where we explore the passion, the process, and the people behind the beautiful objects that shape our lives. I'm your host, Kelly. Today, we're stepping into a world that smells of aged wood, of sawdust and varnish, a world where science and art dance together to create pure magic. We're talking about the ancient and noble art of luthiery, the making of stringed instruments, and we have the perfect guide. Mathew is a luthier with over 30 years of experience, and his hands have given voice to hundreds of violins, cellos, and guitars that are now played in concert halls around the globe. Mathew, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Kelly. It's a genuine pleasure to be here.
So 30 years, that's an incredible dedication to a single craft. What first drew you to the luthier's bench? Was it the music, the woodworking, or something else entirely?
It was the soul of it, I think. I was a musician first, a guitarist. I loved playing, but I was always completely fascinated by the instrument itself. How could this simple box of wood, this collection of resonant chambers and tensioned strings, produce such a universe of sound?
Right, the mystery behind the mechanics.
Exactly. And one day, the neck on my old beloved guitar warped. I couldn't afford a new one, and the repair costs were just as daunting. So I thought, with all the arrogance of youth, how hard can it be?
The famous last words. How did that first attempt go?
It was a disaster. A complete, humbling disaster. I probably did more damage than I fixed, but in that failure, I found my calling. I was completely captivated by the challenge, by the tactile nature of the wood, the precision of the tools. I knew right then that this was what I wanted to do. Not just fix, but create.
That's a fantastic story. So from a botched repair to a master craftsman. Let's talk about that creation process. When you decide to build a new instrument, say a violin, where do you even begin?
It always begins with the wood. That's the heart and soul of everything. We call it tone wood, and it's not just any piece of maple or spruce. It has to be exceptional.
And what makes it exceptional?
It's a combination of factors. The species, of course. For a classical violin, that's typically spruce for the top or soundboard, and maple for the back, ribs, and neck. But it's also how it grew. A tree that grew slowly at high altitude and cold weather will have very tight, even grain. That makes it strong, light, and resonant.
So you're like a treasure hunter, but for wood.
In a way, yes. Sourcing is everything. I have personal relationships with wood suppliers who know exactly what I'm looking for. Then the wood has to be seasoned, air-dried naturally for years, sometimes decades. This stabilizes it and improves its tonal properties. I have pieces in my workshop that are older than I am.
Wow. And you mentioned you can hear its potential?
Oh, absolutely. The first real connection is through sound. It's a process called tap tuning. You hold a raw billet of wood and tap it with your knuckle. You're listening for the resonant frequency, the pitch. A good piece of spruce for a violin top will have a clear, ringing tap, almost like a bell. It tells you it's ready to sing.
That's incredible. It's like the wood is already a musical instrument before you've even started carving it.
That's the secret, Kelly. It is. My job isn't to force a sound out of it. It's to find the voice that's already trapped inside the wood and carefully, patiently set it free.
So once you found this perfect singing piece of wood, what's next? I imagine there's a lot of very precise carving.
Very precise. It's a process of gradual refinement. You start with the plates, the top and the back. They're carved both inside and out to very specific thicknesses, often down to a couple of millimeters in certain spots. This isn't just about shape, it's about acoustics.
And you're doing this by hand? With what kind of tools?
Mostly by hand. I use small, curved bottom finger planes, gouges, and flexible steel scrapers. The arching of the top, the thickness of the back, it's all a carefully balanced equation to encourage certain frequencies and dampen others. You're constantly flexing the wood, tapping it, listening to how the tone changes as you remove a paper-thin shaving.
Wow, a single shaving can make a difference?
A huge difference. It's a conversation. The wood tells you where it wants to be thin, where it needs to remain strong. Then inside the top plate you have the bass bar, a long spruce brace that runs lengthwise. This is the engine of the instrument, supporting the treble frequencies and giving the sound power.
The engine. I like that analogy.
And then you have to bend the ribs, the sides of the instrument, using a hot iron. You're coaxing the wood into a shape it doesn't naturally want to take. It's a moment of high tension, both for the luthier and the wood.
That sounds stressful. I'd be so afraid of it snapping.
It happens, especially when you're learning, but you develop a feel for it, and then slowly everything comes together. You glue the body, you carve the intricate scroll. It's a slow, methodical process that takes hundreds of hours.
It sounds like such a personal process. After all that work, when the body is assembled, is it an instrument yet, or is there more to it?
Oh, we're not done yet. In many ways, the most nerve-wracking part is still to come, the varnishing.
I always thought varnish was just for that beautiful, glossy finish, to make it look like a Stradivarius.
It is, but it's so much more. The varnish is the instrument's skin. It has to protect the wood from humidity and wear, but it also has to be flexible enough to allow the wood to vibrate freely. The wrong varnish can completely choke the sound of a perfectly made violin.
So a bad varnish job could ruin months of work.
Instantly. It's an incredibly delicate balance. Luthiers have been passing down secret varnish recipes for centuries. We cook our own, using natural resins like amber and sandarac, oils like linseed, and natural pigments. Applying it is a painstaking process of up to 20 or 30 incredibly thin layers, with weeks of drying time in between.
I can imagine. So after the final coat of varnish is dry, is that the moment of truth?
That's the moment. You fit the sound post inside the instrument, a small dowel that connects the top and back. That's the soul of the violin. Then you fit the bridge. You string it up for the first time. Your workshop is silent. You take a breath. You draw the bow across the strings, and you hear its first cry.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it. What does that feel like?
There's nothing else like it in the world. Sometimes it's exactly the voice you heard in your head all those months ago when you first tapped the raw wood. Sometimes it surprises you. It might have a darker, more melancholic tone, or it could be bright and powerful. It has its own personality.
It's born.
It's born, exactly. And that's when the final stage begins, the quality control, or as I like to call it, getting to know each other.
So you don't just ship it off once it makes it sound?
Absolutely not. An instrument is still green at this point. I spend weeks, sometimes months, playing it every day. I'm listening for its strengths, its weaknesses. I make tiny, microscopic adjustments to the sound post. Moving it a fraction of a millimeter can dramatically change the color of the sound.
You're essentially test driving it, but also training it.
I'm learning its language and helping it find its best voice. I play scales, I play Bach, I play simple folk tunes. I'm listening to see if the tone is even across all the strings. Does it project well? Does it respond to a light touch as well as a forceful one? An instrument has to be versatile.
And this really gets to the heart of what we're talking about. How the quality of craftsmanship translates directly into the sound.
It's everything. A mass-produced factory instrument can be technically perfect, but it often lacks character. The soul of a handmade instrument comes from that human touch. It's in the tiny imperfections, the intuitive decisions made at the workbench that a machine can't replicate. It's the care and intention that gets trapped in the wood along with the music.
So when you finally let an instrument go to a new owner, it must feel like sending a child off into the world.
It is. It's bittersweet. You've poured so much of yourself into it, hundreds of hours of your life. But the greatest joy is seeing it in the hands of a musician who connects with it, hearing it make music in a concert hall, knowing you had a part in creating that beautiful sound. That's the reward. That's why I do it. That's an excellent question. It's a bit of both. Most often, an instrument is made on speculation, following the inspiration I get from a particular piece of wood. I create the voice, and then it waits for the right musician to come and claim it. But I do take commissions, and that's a very different, very intimate process. It involves long conversations with the musician, understanding their playing style, the repertoire they favor, the kind of tone they are searching for. Am I building for a powerful orchestral soloist or a subtle chamber musician? Every choice, from the model to the arching and the varnish, is tailored to them. It's a true collaboration.
Mathew, this has been absolutely fascinating. You've given us such a beautiful glimpse into a world of incredible artistry and dedication. Thank you so much for sharing your passion with us. That sounds incredibly personal. It's like being a composer and a tailor at the same time. Can you share a story about a commission that was particularly challenging or memorable? One where that collaboration really changed the outcome of the instrument? That sounds incredibly personal. It's like being a composer and a tailor at the same time. Can you share a story about a commission that was particularly challenging or memorable? One where that collaboration really changed the outcome of the instrument?
There are so many, but one comes to mind. I was commissioned by a cellist a few years ago. She was a phenomenal, passionate player, but she felt her current instrument, a fine instrument by any standard, was too polite. She wanted something with more grit, more character, a cello that could whisper one moment and roar the next. She didn't just want a beautiful sound, she wanted a sound with scars.
So it's like a musical matchmaking service. That's fascinating. Can you share a story about a particularly memorable commission, one where that collaboration really led to something special? Wow, the sound of dusk. How do you even begin to translate such a poetic idea into wood and strings?
There was one, a cello I made a few years ago. It was for a wonderfully talented but very demanding professional cellist. She had been playing on a historic Italian instrument for years, but it was becoming too fragile for extensive touring. She wanted me to create a modern instrument that could be her workhorse, but she was terrified of losing the sound she had spent her life with.
That collaborative process sounds deeply rewarding. It becomes more than just a transaction. It's a shared artistic journey.
The pleasure was all mine, Kelly. Thank you.
So it sounds like with a commission, you're not just a craftsman, you're almost a psychologist, trying to translate a musician's feelings about sound into a physical object. That was Luthier Mathew on the art of making stringed instruments. Join us next time on Creations of Our World, when we'll be diving into the delicate art of tequila making. Until then, I'm Kelly. Thanks for listening. Please remember to like and subscribe.